From the Live X Studios in New York City, Cheesehead TV brings you two guys who like to think they know something about football.
To you live from the Live X studio in Midtown Manhattan. Corey joins us from Green Bay, Wisconsin, across the street from Lambeau Field, and we are ready to talk some Packers. What do we have on tap today, Corey?
Today, we'll break down the amazing win over the Philadelphia Eagles and look ahead to a possibly reborn Detroit Lions, not really team. But right now, it's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got the good, we got
Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Are you serious right now?
We got the bad, we got
4th and 18. Come on, guys.
We got the ugly, we got
J.K. Scott. Take your shot, man. I'm sick of these punt returns for touchdowns. Corey, when was the last time the Packers had two, not just one, but two punt returns for touchdown in the same season? I can't even remember it ever happening.
That's because you weren't born. 1964.
Good God.
56 years it took for the Packers to have two punt returns in a season. Thanks to Wayne Larrivee for that stat. I appreciate that and the dagger.
Talk
this
about
weekend.
a nugget. Now, that is a nugget. 64? Oh, my goodness. It's unfortunate.
1964. This is what happens when you binge watch. Okay, so I don't binge watch like Netflix. I binge watch Packers Live. I binge watch Pat McAfee's show, you know, and I get the nuggets. I get the nuggets from Wayne.
The little nuggets that are hanging out there waiting for somebody to grab them. That's what Corey does.
That stat is so old. That stat is almost – this glass is only 1 year older than that stat, okay?
Wait, show people the hold it up there. Let people see
this glass. It says it has all the championships, and then it says 1963 question mark. And the narrator goes over and he goes, you know, in 1963 we didn't win a championship, so the question mark was wrong. But okay, so this glass is 1 year older than two punt returns for a touchdown. There you go.
That's somewhat upsetting. Corey is always
Aaron Rodgers inspired me to drink water on this show. So
I know. Well, I tweeted that out
Rodgers.
yesterday. The fact that the only time I am ever reminded in any way, shape, or form to drink water in my life is when Aaron takes a drink of water on the Pat McAfee show. So shout out to 12, who is actually meeting with the media right now. I think Aaron Rodgers asked them to bump his availability back long enough so that we can't be a part of his availability.
You know, he doesn't like those questions from Cheesehead TV.
He doesn't want those Cheesehead TV questions where he twists our words into things we didn't say. But that's neither here nor there. We're here for the people. Speaking of the people are not going to be allowed in Lambeau Field for the remainder of the regular season. Let's get to some news. The first nugget, the first piece of Packers news is no fans at Lambeau for the regular season. And look, I pretty much suspected this was the way they were going to go. I feel bad because I know it would have been great to have a handful of actual fans rather than family members and workers for the Packers in the stands. But I understand we're in the middle of a global pandemic. The Packers are listening to science here. Can't really argue with it. Next up, in regards to the actual team and what's going on with the personnel, Raven Green, Billy Wynn, and Tyler Ervin all placed on injured reserve this afternoon. That's right, Green, Wynn, and Ervin. I mean, that's a tough kind of row right there. A shoulder injury for Green, an ankle injury for Tyler Ervin, and a triceps injury for Billy Wynn. Although the reporting from NFL Network would indicate that Billy Wynn is a possibility to return after the 3-week window. Which is surprising, given he was taken right out of that game and declared out after that triceps injury, which usually is an indication of a pretty bad injury. But Tom Pelissero reporting that he could return after 3 weeks. So we'll see what happens there. Raven Green, you hate losing Raven Green. I absolutely hate that, both for Raven and for the Packers defense. Next up, we have some good news when it comes to guys getting, obviously, on injured reserve. You don't like to see, but guys getting activated from the reserve non-football injury list, Simon Stepanak, the 6th-round draft pick that most Packer fans probably forgot about, has been activated.
I forgot about it.
I'm sure you did, Corey.
Definitely forgot.
The 6th-round offensive lineman, Simon Stepanak, has been activated, was practicing today. Should be exciting to see if he ever gets thrown into the fire. I would think he is strictly depth at the moment, but his college tape is really fun to watch. This kid has got some attitude. One of those play to the whistle, end of the whistle, the echo of the whistle, if you will, much like Lucas Patrick. So they could get a little
Chad Clifton slash Brian Bulaga type.
I mean,
Brian Bulaga type.
You could get some attitude with this kid. That's for sure. One humongous piece of news. Obviously, everybody witnessed it. We were live in the watch party when it happened. It was amazing. Aaron Rodgers reaches 400 touchdown passes against the Eagles, obviously throwing number 400 to Devontae Adams. Much has been made of it all week, but we cannot talk about Packers news without giving Aaron Rodgers a shout-out. 400. Fastest player to ever do it. I mean, that's pretty insane. 400 touchdown passes.
A lot of history being made on this team in this season, good and bad. So it's a very compelling, interesting season. Don't take it for granted.
Absolutely. Here's a fun note about Rodgers' 400 touchdown passes. He did it in his 193rd regular season game. That's 12 fewer games than Drew Brees, who had previously been the fastest to 400. So 12 fewer games, almost half a season less than Drew. And then finally, it's time, Corey. I always say just pile up the wins. We don't need to worry about seeding or the playoffs or what have you. The playoff watch is on now. It's December. I got my beanie on. We had our first snow in New York today. It is officially time for the playoff race. The Packers can clinch the NFC North title this Sunday with a victory. Now,
the North is not enough.
The North is not enough, but they need a win against the Lions and a Vikings loss at Tampa Bay. Either that or a win and a Cardinals loss to the Giants. Most importantly, of course, they need to win. They have to win.
I don't see the Cardinals losing to the Giants.
Well, did you see the Seahawks?
I don't see that happening.
Did you see the Seahawks losing to the Giants? Because they did. Never know,
Yeah, I saw
Behnke.
that.
Never know.
You never know. True. I mean, the needing the Packers to win and the Vikings to lose, that's a Sunday right there. That's just a normal Sunday.
That's just life.
Nothing different in my life. Sunday.
Oh boy. So I know you're being very good about actually, following the script, but is there anything you want to add before we dive into the offense this week?
What are you trying to get me to go on a tangent?
No, I'm just, you're a model of restraint this week, and I'm dutifully impressed. So I'm giving you the floor if you want to address anything, any complaints or demurs.
I feel like we've spent this whole entire season holding out for the Packers to let fans in, and I appreciate that they are following science and that it's not going to happen. At the same time, I'm still holding out hope for the playoffs. If the Packers can manage to get a home playoff game, my hope and I think a lot of people's expectation, depending on how numbers go down and what have you, is that we should look. This nepotism's got to go, okay? I understand putting some people in there and whatever. It's great. I almost put I want to have a segment, Nagler. I was thinking about this, where basically I read my drafts in Twitter for the week that I don't send.
Oh, that's Behnke's,
I feel like
drafts. That's great. That's
Behnke's
phenomenal.
Drafts.
That's
because
phenomenal.
there's some gold in there that I'm just afraid to drop. I'm afraid to drop the nuggets of gold because I'm afraid of the backlash. But we said this in a previous Transplants episode, and not last week, the week before. What have the Packers done for the fans this year? Pretty much everything that they've done is sponsor obligations, and there's been some virtual events. There's been some things it's not nothing, right? It's not a drought. No. And I was thinking about this. The reason I didn't tweet it is because I was like, well, what do they normally do? But it's there's so many opportunities because you can go in the stadium, you can partake, and they are all economic ways to to partake of the Packers, and I totally get that. But I just feel like, there has been and 1265 is going to hold this against me for the rest of my life, and that's fine. But there has been a decided lack of creativity when it comes to having fans
Fan
from virtual
involvement.
audience that
Any
they
kind
could
of
have
fan
done.
involvement.
Fan
Yes.
involvement,
Yes.
there has been a utter lack of, and I get, like, on the one hand, right, the Packers take it away when it comes to you cannot come into Lambeau, and we've got to go with science. But
Right.
on the other hand, you're a $1 billion entity. You can think of some things. We thought of some things. I've worked on many a show where we had virtual audiences, and we had, more Zooms, and we had more. There's ways to bring people in together, and I just feel like the Packers have taken this opportunity to stand off against the world.
Especially,
and it's kind of
Corey,
sad. It's kind of sad.
It's so sad, especially, Corey, for a team that consistently and continually trumpets the fact that it is the only fan-owned team. I'm sorry, I guess unless people are packing in to hear Mark Murphy and esteemed guests talk about the money being made and the way the foundation is being laid out and things of the business nature during the shareholders meeting, they're not interested in the pretend owners that they have. Unless they're being used as a prop, they don't really regard the fans with any kind of legitimate kind of, regard. And that's, to me, to use your word, that's pretty damn sad.
It's sad. But, that's when you ask me what I want to say, that's kind of it. And, Charlie Barron's, I think there's been a collective, we're going to show Charlie Barron's missing Lambeau. I put it out today. We all miss this experience. I think,
1,000%.
consistently everybody's gotten to this Venn diagram of like, okay, whatever week we're in,
It's not gonna happen.
definitely...
Right. Right.
It's not happening, and like I'm if I was over COVID, it's like the whole missing Lambeau thing, that this really isn't going to be a thing. It's hit a lot of people. So I hope that the Packers really focus on the playoffs and really get back to the fan experience and take it seriously. Don't just be like, oh, those guys are just trying to be assholes. It's like, no, we're the canaries in the coal mine, and the canaries are dying. Do something for the fans. Do something.
Poke, stick, do something. I like it. All right, let's talk about the offense, Corey. Let's talk some football, shall we? Now that we got that out of the way, we cleansed our palate.
Yes.
Got it off our chests. I feel two ways about this first note. Number one, Matt LaFleur on Monday mentioned that the Packers had their fewest number of mental errors in a single game on the offensive side of the ball against the Eagles, which is a great note. I love it. But did you have to put it out there, Matt? Because now they're going to go into Detroit, and you're going to have false starts. You're going to have holding penalties. You're going to have guys running the wrong route. Like, it. That's just the football gods looking at you going, why'd you say it out loud, dude? So, great. I'm really happy, but I really hope Coach didn't just jinx the offense.
But meanwhile, you look at the mental errors, I believe they're 5th or 6th in drops, wide receiver drops. So
yeah, they are dropping too many. There's no doubt.
They are in the top 10 for sure of wide receiver drops. And you got to imagine this team could be undefeated if they had half the drops that they had.
I don't know about that. I don't think, the drops were the reason they lost to Tampa Bay. I
guarantee I can find. I guarantee you, Nagler, I can take half of the drops, and if I get to pick which ones they don't drop, I guarantee I find an undefeated
if you
season,
take away every MVS deep drop, they'll probably win a few more games because they're in a position to score a touchdown or two. Zero question about that one. I still don't think they win that Tampa Bay game, though, even if they catch every single thing thrown to them. Next up, they are first. Corey Behnke, first. That's number one. That's better than everybody in the league in points scored per game at 31.6 points per game. 31.6.
That's good.
31. 31.6.
That's a lot of points.
That's so many points every fucking game. And I understand that, people will grouse about this or that stat and talk about, what they should have done this offseason. I'm not mentioning the word, Corey. Not going to do it. But this team is scoring a ton of points every game. I hope people are enjoying it and appreciating it. Because, as I said earlier this week on Twitter, I said it on Daily, This is the first time since 1996 where when the offense takes the field, I have zero concerns. Like, none. Like, yeah, maybe once or twice they'll let the play clock go down, and I'll get frustrated, and Packerman will have to die. But for the most part, I have no worries. I have no complaints. I just feel like it's inevitable that whatever questions are being asked by the defense, whatever lock or door or dam is put in front of them, LaFleur, Rodgers, Hackett, Getsy, they're going to have the answers. They have just done an amazing job of not only diversifying their attack, but making it all flow early in the season to have defensive coordinators then have to react to that. And now they're using counters off their tendencies in a way that is just gorgeous to behold, especially some of the stuff they did in the run game on Sunday. I'm in awe. I am in absolute awe. And it's been a long time since we could say that about the Packers.
It's true.
offense.
Well, and the reality is the reason you don't see many cracks, if any, is because you have the best offensive line in football that you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want. You got offensive linemen 76 yards down the field with your running back. I mean, pretty much anything Matt LaFleur asks of this offensive line to do, including having guys go injured and other guys step up. Elton Jenkins having literally the season of his life. If this is not even peak Elton Jenkins.
Start.
He can't.
It's just the
this
start.
Is the start. So, it's pretty ridiculous. We started talking about it at the beginning of the season, but you really are seeing it now where that is the difference that separates the pretty good offenses from the really good offenses.
Transcendent
I can do whatever I want.
Yes. What I love, and I'm glad you highlighted the offensive line because I love the fact that 77-yard TD came off a play that they literally installed during Adam Stenovich's run game meeting. Aaron Rodgers mentioned that after the game. Like that was the two tight ends off the left side, blah, blah, blah. The action that they had, the zone action on the front side. They had those guys cutting guys off on the left. And that's something they put in literally that last week, and then it popped off for 77 yards. I love that.
Well,
that's a testament to their coaching.
My favorite video is Larry McCarron goes through that whole play. It's so amazing. And he's like, look, David Bakhtiari. Next frame. Look, David Bakhtiari. Next frame. Look, David Bakhtiari. And he's like, yeah, he's not blocking anybody, but he's taking up space and he's taking up bandwidth in the would-be tacklers that have to deal with him. It's just so great. I know, Rodgers calls him Talk Tiari, and Rodgers was really like pretty hard on him this week.
Can we mention? Let's talk a little. David
he really
Bakhtiari.
wants that Aston Martin.
Yeah,
he really wants that Aston
Good luck
Martin
with that.
badly.
As do I, Behnke. As I said, Aaron was asking for an Aston Martin from David Bakhtiari. I'm of course asking for an Aston Martin from Corey Behnke. So we'll see who.
What kind of money you think I'm made of, Nagler?
You're living across from Lambeau Field. I don't want to hear it.
You know how much an Aston Martin is?
Yeah, less than a place across from Lambeau Field.
$250,000?
I don't.
Isn't it like $250,000? I don't even know. Or is it like millions of dollars? I don't even have any clue. I know it's lots.
Let's talk about David Bakhtiari real quick since we're on a tangent. Do you remember when David used to come on this show? Back when he was a wee pup in the NFL, live on Packer Transplants.
I mean, he was here. He was at the house last year.
He was.
So,
he was. And now
he's
forgotten us. Now he's Mr.
No. Yeah, he doesn't.
Mr. I signed this huge contract.
He must have like a driver.
Exactly. He's got this huge contract.
He used to wave at me from like the passenger seat.
No more waving.
Hey, buddy.
No more waving. No more Packer Transplants. Now he just, goes on the Pat McAfee show. I know he was on Wendy's Big Show, whatever that is. I saw that tweet yesterday.
He's so big time.
So big time. So big time. I just remember, David, when you first got to town, you were on Packer Transplants a couple of times.
I love how
we were the only ones who wanted you. We love the offensive line.
I love how you talk as if he's actually listening. That's hilarious.
He watches
That's
every
a little
week.
Bit hilarious.
Are you kidding me? He watches this program every week. You know that. We have a final note here on the offensive side, because I know people say, "Oh, points. Maybe the turnovers are leading to that." Blah 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 blah. Okay, fine. You want to diminish whatever the points process is. I get it. So take this. Only one other team in the league is gaining more yards per play, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. But other than the Chiefs, the Packers are gaining more yards per play than any other offense. I can't I was going through my regular.
You can't believe that, can you?
It's crazy, right? I mean, because
especially when you go back and you're like second and tens, just second and tens alone,
right? And they're like slamming into a wall. No, but like I was doing my thing like I always do every week, and I was pulling out plays, and I was looking at what could I highlight, blah blah blah, and I just finally kind of took this deep dive down some of the numbers. I'm like, this offense is insanity.
It's insane.
It's just nuts. And like
we've said it in watch parties.
Oh,
yeah.
And these last two, I
think those last two
stats kind of highlight what an incredible, just absolutely insane year LaFleur, Rodgers, and company are having on the offensive side of the ball. You want to say anything else about the offense before we go to the redheaded stepchild of this team?
You know, I'm interested to see what the later stage of the season brings, because you got to imagine that once they do, let's say we clinch, right? Where is LaFleur's head going to be? Because you've seen this season as we do start to like take off and beat teams, he's not pulling starters out. So who is going to me when you look over, playoff runs, right? This time of the season is who gets hot when, right?
Exactly.
So who are we looking for?
So.
Is it going to be Darnell? I know we're on offense, but is it, to me, it's like these
defense,
players,
so okay.
Right? Darnell Savage, he going to be that guy that takes off. Is Jair Alexander, does he have that next gear, right? His sixth gear, right?
Insanity.
Who is going to get hot, right? Tunyon. Is Tunyon going to get more hot? I mean, him and Rodgers seem to be like completely copacetic right now, right?
Like
Devontae and him are completely copacetic. EQ, is EQ going to get hot? Is MVS going to get hot? Like, who's going to be? Is it the whole team and all boats rise with the water, right? The water raises all boats. Is that what it's going to be?
Exactly.
The tide rises all boats, or is it going to be a couple guys are going to get hot that you didn't even think about, and that would be really exciting to see if that happened.
Well, what's interesting too is when you talk about like say they clinch this weekend, right? Which is a possibility. They clinch the North. What's interesting is that the race for the number one seed will keep their foot on the gas, whether they want it to be there or not.
True.
Because this is the 1 year. Now, this will be what it is going forward, but this is the first year where only one team gets a bye now. That's and only the number one seed.
And that's going to be the most fraudulent NFC team. That's who it's going to be. The Saints. The New Orleans Saints. The most fraudulent
they are
NFC.
number one right now. They are number one right now, but there are many games to play. We'll see.
They're the most fraudulent number one seed of all time.
All time, you say? Well,
this year,
all time, right?
This year, all time.
Let's talk about the defense. Here's a fact. More figures for you because I wanted to keep it similar to what we talked about in the offensive side.
Holy stats, Batman.
I just, like I said, usually I'm breaking down plays, whatever. But I thought it's a good time to step back as we are about to enter the stretch run, right? So, because you watch the games with me every Sunday, that I can get a little upset when it comes to the performance of the defense. Sometimes I'm a little, ornery when it comes to the lack of execution on the defensive side of the ball. And I know I am backed up by many of my friends on Twitter. And maybe in the chats. However, when you step back and you look at it, here's something that kind of blew my mind. And this is true. I'm not making this up. The Packers defense is number one in the league in third and long situations, which we're defining here as 3rd and 6 or more. They are allowing just 16%. 16% conversion rate.
No one believes you, by the way.
On 3rd and 6.
No one believes you.
3rd and 6 or more.
Everyone just saw that stat, and no one believes you.
Now,
That's
of course,
what's crazy.
And here's the cynic in me. When I first saw this stat, I was like, this is exactly where I jumped. And I'm sure there are people out there, probably in the chat right now, saying this exact thing, what I'm about to say. Well, yeah, of course, 3rd and 6 or more, they don't. Conversion is the key word here because, yes, 3rd and 6, they're maybe not converting, but the Packers are allowing them to get into 4th and short, and then they're converting on 4th down. That's, I'm sure that factors in somewhat. to this statistic. However,
okay, but probably if you took that out, they'd still rank pretty high, though. Even if you took those plays away,
I agree.
It'd still rank pretty high.
It's still, and it's counterintuitive to what you feel when you're watching the games. That's really why I wanted to highlight it, because as frustrating as the defense can be at times, and Lord knows I'm guilty of it. You always try to police me during the watch party because you are much more patient than I am. But I understand that feeling, and because I get it every day on Twitter. I literally just had somebody in my mentions before we went live on the air here talking about how the Packers' defense, in a real general term, is going to lose them a playoff game. And I'm like, hey, okay, maybe, but they're trending in the right direction. And how they play right now is not how they're going to be playing in the playoffs if they're lucky enough to get there. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
But people are so quick.
Name one game this season, though. Name one game this season that the defense lost the game.
I mean, I would say two.
Thanks.
There are two of them. I would say they didn't show up against Tampa. They let Tom Brady throw it all over the yard. And I would say in the second half of the Indianapolis game, they fell apart. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say they lost them the game.
We also had no offense.
I know. They went 2-3 and outs there. I understand. That's why I just said, like, they didn't lose them the game, but they certainly contributed. That's in a major way.
Okay. So I live in a world. I actually live in I feel like the realer world than other people because, and tell me if I'm completely wrong about this, but I feel as though you have this is not Star Wars, okay?
Correct.
There's not the Jedi and then the dark side, okay? And there's balance, right? That's not how this works.
Stay on target, Behnke.
That's just not how it works.
Stay on target.
Exactly.
Hey, and by the way, someone
So,
in the chat asked where they could get this. Check out the shelf underneath the.
Although if you check it out right now, it probably has something else, but we have to fix that.
I'm taking a look right now.
Way to point that out.
Well, you know.
So back to my point.
It's good.
Back to my point.
Yeah.
Okay, you can focus, if you look at the NFL, you can focus and a draft and develop strategy. You can focus on one. You get to choose one. Offense or defense. Because, and I'm going to say this, if you spend lots of money on one side, it's very hard to achieve balance when it comes to defense and offense.
Behnke? Where are you going with this?
Very hard, okay? The Packers and Ted Thompson and Brian have chosen offense. They've chosen the Jedi. They've chosen offense. Look at it. What did they have to do last year? He had to get Z in free agency. He had to get Preston in free agency because draft and develop didn't really work out to his strengths. So he got that.
They had to reset. They had to reset on defense.
They rebalanced out, right? But what I'm saying is we are definitely an offense-heavy team. We have been for, 20 years, right?
Okay, yes.
The last time we cared about the defense, we got Reggie White on our team, okay? So.
Okay.
Just saying.
I'm about to blow all that up. That was well stated, and I understand where you're coming from. However, you cannot deny that Brian Gutekunst and his predecessor Ted Thompson poured unbelievable amounts of resources into the defense and have been for, I'm talking over a decade now. And I can't remember, other than maybe the stretch run of 2014, and then, of course, in 2010, a competent defense. And I'm not even talking, I don't even want suffocating. I don't want domination, although that would be nice. That's not what I'm asking for.
Though. You're kind of
want competence. And Behnke, when you're giving up a 4th and 18 for a fucking touchdown, that's not competent. Sorry. That is not competence. I know. That's an insanely high bar not to give up a touchdown on 4th and 18.
But meanwhile,
I'm asking for a lot.
Here's the fundamental flaw in your problem. Okay,
yes,
you said it yourself. You started it, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at this defense, we are in a position, right? We are a top 10 defense right now in a lot of stats.
Hovering, right? Okay, I got you.
Okay,
I got you.
All we need to do to be in contention is to be in top 15. No, seriously. All you have to do with this offense, all you got to do is be close to top 15 and get some turnovers when somebody else doesn't get turnovers, and you winning. So, I just feel like there's this lack of perspective of like, look, we've got this juggernaut of an offense.
Right.
And yes, we would like a competent defense, but at the same time, we have a pretty damn good defense. Meanwhile, we're missing the fact that we've got a lot of good things going on defense. And here's what's really funny, okay? And I know you'll probably agree with me on this.
Right.
I know you'll probably agree. How long would we have to have a good defense before fans thought we had a good defense? You know what I'm saying?
True. That's
like,
so good.
We could literally,
So good.
we would watch, we would all watch a good defense for weeks, right? And then finally somebody on Twitter, like Peter Bukowski, would put some obvious thing on and be like, the Packers have the best defense in the NFL. And I'd be like, what? Oh, yeah, I've been watching that for 5 weeks. I can't believe it.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good.
That's how traumatized. We have PTSD when it comes to Packers defense. And that's the thing. Like,
but here's the thing.
We hold all of this baggage of all these old defenses and Bob Slowick and everything else, and we're holding this baggage, and we're holding on tight, and we just can't let it go.
See, speaking of baggage and perception and the prism you're watching through, Andrew in the chat literally just said, damn good defense, ? LOL. I wish I watched through his perspective. And it is a bit about perspective. Like, I understand people saying, oh, haha, that's so I can be so dismissive of you saying that they have a good defense, but you look at the pieces and you look at the majority of their play, and they are pretty damn good. They just have the worst bouts of inconsistency at the worst possible time.
They don't close well. They don't close well necessarily.
At all. But, like, they gave up 10 They gave up 10 points on Sunday. It's okay, fine. Like, no,
yeah, and when you say that, you're like, that's pretty damn good, right?
I guess, well, that's my point. Well, of course, now, okay, that's a pop gun offense that the Eagles have, so it's not any great shakes.
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, so for instance, that first drive, right? The Eagles go down, they score a field goal, right?
Everybody
is up in arms.
Losing their minds. It's a 15-play drive. I understand why people get upset.
And you lost your mind, too, by the way.
I did not lose my mind. So, I went back and watched it specifically because I knew we would have this type of conversation because I wanted to see how insane I was, and I was actually pretty fucking good. Thank you.
In my opinion, when you have this type of offense, right, a once-in-a-decade type offense, right, with this quarter, although this might be a once-every-year type offense the way Aaron Rodgers is playing right now, it's ridiculous. But if you have this kind of offense and you can stop a team from scoring, you can have a team only score 3 points, you're winning.
Yeah,
you're just winning. They could go down and score field goals every time. We still would have beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
See, here's the problem. We're going to talk all this junk, and we're going to talk about how the defense, like you guys, depends on the prism you're looking at it through, blah, blah, blah. And then Matt Stafford's going to come out on Sunday and sling it all over the fucking place, and they're going to score like 30 points, and it's going to be so disheartening. I'm not looking forward to it.
I don't see that happening, but you know
you
what?
don't.
I thought they
you
were.
never do.
I thought they were gonna run all over. I thought they were gonna destroy the Bucks, and I was completely wrong. So do not listen to me when it comes to predictions.
Okay, and this was my next point. 4th and 18. 4th and 18. Can we talk about 4th and 18? What is it about the fucking Philadelphia Eagles that makes this franchise just absolutely short circuit on 4th down? It's 4th down and 18. What? So first, not only have you apparently let them get behind the 18, but you've let them get into the end zone. It blows my mind. How many times?
You are in garbage time a little bit.
It's not not garbage time when you allow a team back into the game. This happened in Minnesota in week
debatable.
1.
That's debatable.
Like week 1 when Darnell
really
Savage gets caught looking in the backfield is one thing. That's week 1. It's week 13 on 4th and 18, and you're giving up a touchdown. That is beyond inexcusable. Beyond inexcusable. Sorry. I know I have a high bar, but my bar, it lands at don't give up TDs on 4th and 18. I know. It's crazy. I'm an insane man for wanting these things and for demanding them from my favorite team's defense. I know, put me in a fucking insane asylum, but that's the threshold. That's it.
My definition of garbage time and your definition of garbage time are two different things.
A little bit different.
And
I
Matt
understand.
LaFleur's. Matt LaFleur's
yes.
definition of garbage time. I mean, he's got to be 3 scores ahead until you're in garbage time. So yeah, I'm sure he's really upset about that 4th and 18.
As he should be. As he should be. Now,
Not upset enough to fire Mike Pettin, though, by the way.
No.
Just letting you know.
Never going to happen. Not this year, anyway. I did want to end, when we're talking about the defense, let's end on a positive note, shall we? Because
really?
I can bitch about the defense. That is something I am known to do. However, I do want to give props to not only Kenny Clark, Kingsley Keke, who had his second 2-sack game on the season, although he's still a little bit inconsistent at times for my liking, having a better kind of go of it. And, yes, Dean Lowry. Clark, Keke, and Lowry.
The lunch pail man, getting a shout out.
Good game from Lowry. Good game. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he was lights out, but he had a good game. There were so many times where Carson Wentz tried to step up in the pocket or find an escape route, and it just wasn't there. And that was in large part to these 3 gentlemen kind of walling off. Because, look, we all know that this team can rush the passer from the edge. Whether it's the Smiths, whether it's Rashawn Gary, you know that pressure's coming. Eventually, it's good. They're going to arrive. This team did such a good job on Sunday of making sure that pocket was constricting at an even pace, where you're not giving them, or Carson Wentz, huge escape lanes. They kind of got away from that once Hurts got in there. Their lane discipline seemed to disappear a little bit, and he found some cracks. But I think, especially looking back at last year's game, I went back and watched that Thursday night game leading up to Sundays. Carson got them really frustrated. Z missed 2 sacks. Kenny Clark missed a sack. Like, Wentz did a great job of finding those escape routes. They just were not available to him on Sunday. That is great work by those 3 guys, by Jerry Montgomery, the defensive line coach. I had to give him a shout out, especially Lowry, because I know he is much maligned. I myself have given him a bit of grief this year, but he had a very strong game on Sunday. So I wanted to give him a shout out.
Gap discipline, and also someone that we haven't talked about who is on an ascent this season that you've seen the last 2 games especially is Preston Smith. Oh boy, you are seeing Preston Smith
little
turn
fire,
on the burners,
no doubt.
He found a chip and he's eating it.
Yes, most certainly he is. All right, let's preview this Lions game real quick. We got 3 keys. The Nagler.
I pulled a stat, Nagler. I pulled a stat for this section. Can you believe it?
Corey pulled a stat.
We got a nice, beautiful little background on Lambeau right now. Little pink, little purple.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Little
shot.
orange. I wish you could see. Once we have the Lambeau cam, it's going to be really nice.
We need some Lambeau cam in our lives, Behnke. That's what we need,
because there's like some orange over here, and then there's purple. It goes orange into purple into orange. It's awesome.
I like it.
I love it.
I like it.
I love it.
So what's your
stat? I got a stat.
Behnke?
Okay, I got a new idea, Nagler. I wanted to see what you thought about this.
I like it.
So if you look at team statistics, so I'm in Lions versus opponents, right?
Sure.
And one of the things I loved about the Philadelphia Eagles game is we got 7 sacks, I believe you told me.
7, that's correct.
We had 7 sacks. So we basically got what we were supposed to get based on what the Eagles had. So one of my based on how many they've given up, right? I think the Eagles were consistently giving up 5 to 6 or something.
Their offensive line has been an absolute disaster this year, mostly due to.
Okay, so I'm gonna need your help with math. So the Lions are terrible.
Right.
They have given up 33 sacks. Okay, so almost 3 a game? Almost 3 a game.
Right.
So really, when you're looking at it, we got to get plus 3 sacks, and that's really a judgment of our defense. If you look at our defense based on what that team tends to give up on average over the season, you can even look and see that our defense is trending up, which is pretty amazing, just from a sack level, right?
See,
So
here's the thing. Here's the thing. When it comes to sacks, I'm all for it. I love pressure. I love pressure more than I love sacks. Because pressure can, look, Preston Smith on the interception that Darnell Savage had doesn't get credited for a sack, hopefully gets credited for a pressure because he hits the quarterback and causes that pass to go awry, right? And all the time you talk about, not you, Corey, but people in general talk about,
Yeah.
oh, the sack numbers are down, or oh, this guy or that this defense, they don't have sacks. I don't care about sacks. I'm with Mike Smith. I do not care. Sacks come in bunches. Eventually they will happen. They've been happening lately. We saw, Za'Darius had the torrid pace he was on last year in comparison. He had a bit of a slow
But
start
he's back
this year.
on a torrid
and now
pace,
he's
though.
on a torrid pace. Exactly. I know, but this is my point.
This is his 2 best seasons in his career.
And this is my point, though, because, if you looked at how he was affecting the game, even when he wasn't registering sacks, he was still affecting the quarterback, affecting the game.
I hear you.
And that's what I want. The sacks are great. I'm all for it. Turnovers are better. And the way you get turnovers is by affecting the quarterback. So to me, it's all about pressures. And now that's a bit subjective
with you.
about who's doing
I agree with you.
The tape work and who's marking
Yeah,
pressures,
who's doing what's a pressure, exactly.
But
Nagler, I agree with
the
you.
sacks are
although
great.
I'm just
I'm
going
all
to
for
say
the
one
sacks.
thing. One thing. Just
Yes,
one
sir.
thing, though. One thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The greatest back-to-back plays of all time in Green Bay Packer history, there
Reggie
is
White
no
in the
number
Super Bowl?
2.
Reggie White in the Super Bowl?
You got it.
That's
and
right.
what did he do? Sack. A grown-ass man that was better than everybody else at his position, everybody else on that field, literally said, no, we winning. That's why I like sacks.
Well, he did kind of say, I am sick of this shit. Did the hump move, and it was like, I'm out.
Yep. Bye.
Talk about just
Give me
waiting till the
give me
fourth
my
quarter
ring.
and being like, all right, y'all, it's over.
It's over. Bye.
We're gonna take
leaving.
we're gonna take Lombardi now. Thank you very much. I love
So,
it.
I hear
love
you.
it.
I totally agree with you on pressures, but it's
Right.
a sack is a definition of
Right? No,
this is done.
I hear you. I'm
This is
completely
done.
agree. You
Sit
have
down.
wrapped him up and you've put him down. Yep, 1,000%. All right. So real quickly, because we gotta get the blogosphere.
Okay.
The 3 keys, in my mind, for this game. Number 1, contain Jamal Agnew. This guy is a legit returner. He has caused all sorts of problems for opponents. I mean, his average would make, the Packers fans faint because, wow, look, returns. But he's actually taking them back to the house, both on punt and kick. His average is great. Contain Jamal Agnew. If you have to kick it out of bounds and take the 40-yard penalty on kickoffs, I'm almost there, baby. I'm almost there because I'm so nervous about this damn special teams unit. Number 2, big plays will be available for the Packers in the passing game. This Lions defense has continually, we saw this in week 2. I don't think anything's going to change here. It certainly didn't, obviously last week they were against Mitch Trubisky, so that's a little easier. But they are giving up, I think they're top 5 when it comes to giving up 20-plus yard plays in the passing game. This is a team the Packers should feast on in that regard, whether it's Devontae, whether it's MVS, Alan Lazard, whoever, whenever, get deep. This is a team that you can do it on. You're in a dome environment. There's no excuse. This is a team they should absolutely walk up and down the field on in the deep passing game. And then finally, do not give Matt Stafford a chance at a comeback win. Just don't do it.
That's why we need that pressure.
Because number
need
1,
that pressure.
I gotta tell people how quarterback wins are not a fucking stat. And 2, we've seen Matt Stafford so many times. He is great in clutch situations. Just keep your foot on the throat. Make it a foregone conclusion in the third quarter so we can put Tim Boyle in and I don't have to kill Packer Man. That's all I want. That's the key to this game. Do not give Matt Stafford the opportunity to bring his team back. Don't do it. Do not do it.
Okay.
That's it. Those are my 3 keys. You ready for
That's
Blogosphere?
it.
You ready? You ready
I'm
to do this, Behnke?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hit it, Walsh. This week in the Packer Blogosphere! That's right, it's this week in the Packer Blogosphere, the return of that venerable series. Corey, Behnke, you remember a couple weeks ago when we were talking about how, Lambeau is feeling dead and they needed to pump it up?
Yes.
And we did hashtag, pump up the players, and we submitted it to the Packers, and they completely ignored us?
Yes.
Well, apparently they have not ignored another Packer fan because he's actually funny and engaging and keeps everything on a positive tip. Much more so than you and I ever do because all we do is complain.
Gotcha.
But Charlie Behrens, good friend of the show, good friend of Cheesehead TV. Charlie was over at the house last year. We had a ball with he and his wife pregame. Great dude. He has produced what I would consider the definitive piece of content when it comes to how Packer fans feel about not being able to attend games at Lambeau Field this year. Walsh, why don't you roll it?
At the tone, please record your message.
Hey, it's me again. I don't know if you got the last 14 messages, but I really miss you. Drove by your place the other day. You know, the lights were on, so I hope you don't mind, but I parked in the drive, just like old times. I even went to the Quick Trip, picked up a few of our favorite things. I even got the Glazers. 2 boxes, actually. They were 2 for $4.99. You know I can never pass that up. I got Glazers. Anyone? Remember when we used to have all them people over? Oh, them were the days. So many great times together. I know this is for the best, and it ain't you, it's me. Well, actually, it's a gosh darn COVID, if I'm being honest, but, you know, I miss you yet. I'm not crying, I just got the sniffles, you know. Not COVID, it's an allergy, something blooming. Definitely not me crying. I actually ran into Vince outside. You know, he says you're doing well considering. Brought you Johnsonville, you know, for old time's sake. Got you a beer too. Oh, also, almost forgot, got you a Glazer. Had a ham warmer in my pocket, so it's nice and warm. I know, they say nothing lasts forever, but tell that to my memories. This would be so much easier if I could just forget all the good times we had. But then again, they're all I have now. And I wouldn't trade them. Not for all the beer in Manitowoc County. And I've never said that about anyone before, because that's a lot of beer. You know, I can't help but to hope that maybe you can find it in your stands to take me back. I'm just gonna say it, I miss your cold touch on my cheek. It's stupid, but it's true. So anyway, I'm gonna let you go now, and I promise I'm gonna stop the late night texting. That's just not appropriate, but...
If you are satisfied with your message, press 1 to erase and re-record. Press 3. Message erased. Please re-record your message.
Hey, it's me again.
Come on, how phenomenal is that? How
So great.
Absolutely perfect is that?
That's everything he did is literally my life the last 2 months. Like, it's literally how I feel. Like, we finished this watch party, so we finished watch party. Like, Packer Transplants, I can go back to the office. I can, you know, there's stuff that goes on, right? But I'm telling you, watch party, and then I'll get texts from, like, certain people, and they're like, what are you doing? I'll be like, the game ended.
Game's over.
Nothing. What's
Packers,
going on? There's
won.
no people. Like, I used to be like, oh, it's so quaint in Green Bay, like, you know, 2 hours after the game, and it's just like this.
Right.
But then it's like, when it's just like this all the time, and you're like, why is this big building here? What do they do in it?
I know, right?
What do they use it for?
Oh, yeah.
It's just, it's really
Sad,
sad.
man.
And
It's
no,
sad.
he really did a good job. He's a really good writer, and he we don't deserve Charlie. That's what I'm going to say. The state of Wisconsin doesn't deserve Charlie Behrens, but we are definitely here for him. So I would like to know, is there more beer? Okay, like, is there more beer in Manitowoc County or Brown County or Calumet County? I feel like, you know, there's some arguments to be made for both.
Yeah, I mean,
for all three.
I'm sure there's plenty in every facet.
But, you know, he's
of every
Manitowoc Minute,
county.
so he's got to use Manitowoc County. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's where he is.
We know it's a Wisconsin county because there's more alcoholics per capita than anywhere else in the country. So we know it's one of these counties.
It's true. Someone's very upset that we're streaming at the same time as the SpaceX launch. Hey, look, man, SpaceX should have consulted the Packers calendar, and they should have known that Packer Transplants every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
We've only been doing 209 of these shows.
209th time we've done this. I mean, this isn't difficult, SpaceX. I mean, you know. All right, should we talk to some fine folks here on the old what do you call it? The super chats?
Let's do it. Pull some chats. We got to did you figure out some stuff?
No, I got all YouTube again. But we'll talk to
Got it.
Roger first. We'll highlight Roger, who says no fans in Lambeau. He spells it Lambo. To make room for Dylan's thighs. There you go. And hey, AJ Dillon.
There you go.
Was a late addition today. He was out there running some stuff at practice. So maybe they'll activate him.
That's good.
Maybe they'll activate him.
Good
He's
to
been
see
on
that.
the damn COVID list for 5 weeks. 5 weeks,
Wow.
Behnke. 5 weeks.
It's crazy.
Jocelyn says, Aaron, since you're not discussing the 2020 draft, what are your thoughts on the wide receivers in the 2021 draft? Just kidding. All love for Cheesehead TV. And go Pack Go. Jocelyn, I see you, and I appreciate you. Saul says, hopefully the defense continues to play well these last 4 games and get hot come playoff time.
Yes.
Saul is a man
Yes.
after your own heart there, Behnke. Dustin says, Packers are great on defense in 3rd and 6 or more, but not so much on 4th and 18. No, Dustin, why you got to bring us all down? William says, way to break it down, Behnke. Cheesehead TV rocks. I'm not quite sure what he was discussing or
Thanks,
mentioning
William.
there, but that's what you do, Behnke. You break it down. Dustin again, different Dustin, sorry, says Raji season 2, 6.5 sacks. Daniels season 2, 6.5 sacks. Kiki season 2, 4 games left, 4 sacks. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, don't sleep. Look at Dustin breaking it down. Uncultured Barbarian is here. What's up, Uncultured? How you doing?
Oh.
Z Agency should be the next Cheesehead TV T-shirt. Behnke is Johnny on the spot on the marketing side. I mean, Corey does have his finger on the pulse. There's no doubt about that. I like Z Agency. That's pretty good. Amar, what's up, Amar? Amar's, dude. Let me tell you, Amar
Amar is
You are
like
the
a famous Packer fan now.
Yeah, like-
he's got like the whole video.
that
It's, like,
video
blowing
of
up.
you and your girls, Amar, that
It's
you put on
great.
Twitter was
It's so good.
hilarious. I love it, and I love that your wife captured it after your cousin, who apparently is an Eagles fan, was talking junk, but they didn't start talking junk until the Eagles started coming back, and then all of a sudden they got all chatty, and then they caught that great video of you during the Aaron Jones run, so that was dope. Amar says, keep up the great work, fellas. Got to love this team. You can feel love with them all. I expect the same, Corey, with the Bucs. So he's clearly on your side when the Buccaneers drop passes venue there. And then finally, Arthur. Arthur says, any chance there's fans for the playoffs? I need Lambeau. What do you think,
It's
Behnke?
possible.
What do you think?
I think it's still possible. I think they're holding out. I think they were holding out at the end. I think because you saw who was it? Bayberm TV.
Yeah. Haley.
She had a report. Yeah, she had a report that she had heard that they were possibly doing it. So
most likely, I think, was the word.
most likely, right? And so you got to wonder, there was some kind of argument against it, and obviously science and the doctors won out where Wisconsin is right now.
Thank goodness.
But if we can get cases down, you could make an argument for it. And everything they're going to learn in there right now with 500 of their employees, you got to imagine they're learning how to do this in a better way so that, I think at the end of the day, they just do not want to leave this season having a COVID positive case for a fan. And that is an admirable thing to do. And I think
Down with that.
I think it's noble and it's admirable. And I think that's their number one, right? But if that's your number one, then fans are never going in the stadium. I'll tell you that right now.
Not in 2020 or the playoffs or anything.
So I don't know this. I don't know any information. But if that's their number one, oh boy. But also, like, there's health apps. There's ways, like, you can make people promise stuff. There's all these kind of things that, I would love to see them try. At the same time, I know it's a very difficult thing. And, these are people's lives that you're talking about. But, it's hard. There's still a possibility, I think.
It's a possibility. Here's what's funny, Behnke. You know how before the show we were like, we need to acknowledge Facebook more. Like, we do a lot of YouTube comments, we do the YouTube super chats, and like, we're a bit negligent when it comes to Facebook. Right now on Facebook, they're arguing about who's going to get hired as defensive coordinator when Mike Pettin gets fired. That's Facebook right now. Come on, people. Mike Pettin is not getting fired. This team is 9-3. They're championship contenders. I just, Behnke.
I don't understand.
That's why I ignore Facebook,
understand.
Behnke. That's why I ignore Facebook. I mean, I'm not saying Twitter's like some paradigm of like
I was about to
rational
say.
thought, or that YouTube comments
Twitter.
are like about to like take over the world with their thoughtfulness, but it's all better than Facebook. That's all I got to say about that. Behnke, do you have anything else to say to the fine folks at home prior to, we're going to kick off here, but in a little bit, we're going to have our Patreon happy hour. That's coming up at 6:30 Eastern. If you are a Patreon member, make sure you go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/CheeseheadTV. If you aren't a Patreon member, please consider giving us $5 a month, or maybe even more, depending on how you're feeling generosity-wise. Everything you do as far as Patreon goes helps to support the brand, the website, the videos, everything. We really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun on the Patreon Zoom happy hours. Things are very relaxed and laid back, and Corey has been known to say some stuff he shouldn't, but it's always a lot of fun. So if you,
I'm going to try to be on.
us,
I'm not going to be on tonight.
I know you're very busy.
I know you're
busy tonight. I had to do it tonight,
next week. Next week on the Patreon, I'm going to try to be on the Patreon. I've got some 1924, 1925, 1926, 1927, 1928 Stiller original photos. The 1924, I can't show it right now because of the way the lighting is. It has a dog in the photo that I've never seen. It's so amazing. The 24 photo, when you see like just normal dudes, like it's just so great. Like Curly Lambeau just kind of like pops out because he's so good looking. You're just like, he's kind of like Matt LaFleur that way. Like when he was younger, holy crap. I mean, it's like he literally has a bunch of guys that play football that are not good looking, so he can just look that much more good looking. I mean, he's a good looking guy. And that 24 photo, so my plan is for the Patreon, if you guys want to see it, I'm going to show them. And then maybe I've only shown Nagler something special I got on Saturday.
Oh my God. It's amazing.
I got to meet on Saturday two board of directors for the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame, and one of them is literally the greatest Green Bay Packer collector of all time. He showed me some things I've never seen before in my life. I didn't know they existed, and it blew my mind. And so, that's what I feel like that's a good thing for the Patreon happy hour to use. And also, next summer, if you're interested, and let us know or send us an email, I think post-COVID, we deserve this. I think we're going to have to come out with a Cheesehead TV Green Bay Packer collectibles picking show where I'm going to go around. I want to go around the state of Wisconsin, and I'm going to find some Packer stuff. And I've got some friends to go along with me, and I think it's going to happen. This COVID, all this stuff, the Charlie Barron's video, it's got me set up. But Patreon happy hour, you'll see some collectibles, but not tonight.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Real quick, because when we start talking super chats, then we get all sorts of new super chats, so I want to go through a couple real quick. Dustin says SpaceX can't compete with the Packers transplants, and that's why they've left to try to compete somewhere else. SpaceX doesn't carry the G. SpaceX doesn't carry the G. That is correct. Uncultured Barbarian, you just watch Elon Musk will turn out to be this world's Lex Luthor. I think he's halfway there. Kevin, thank you for the super chat. This is possibly my favorite super chat ever in the history of super chats. Kevin says, I'm not drunk, you're drunk. I've only two beers, but I'm definitely trying to work my way there.
I have 0 beers.
Kyle says,
I had water.
Will we see Big Anthony rush at all? I hope so, Kyle. I know he was not active on Sunday versus the Eagles. I hope we see him, especially in light of the fact that Billy Wynn has been put on IR. I hope Anthony Rush is ready to go. PackFan39, thank you for the super chat. Packers have the best wide receiver and cornerback in the NFL. I cannot argue with your premise, sir. Thank you for positing it here on Packer Transplants. Finally, Matthew Johnson says, thank you for the super chat, Matthew. He says, quite simply, fire Capers. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. Why
wouldn't you say fire Slowick? Fire Slowick over Capers.
Fire Capers. So, Corey, you got anything else to add to the fine folks at home before we kick it?
Let's go. Let's do this. I can't wait for Sunday.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of Packer Transplants Live. We'd like to thank everyone who joined us today and who makes Cheesehead TV part of their daily Packers routine. We are and will always be devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide.
2.86, Tom says. So, yes, it's a roundup in that case. But
I was trying to be generous.
Thank you, Nags. I appreciate that. I understand your question. I think there may be a misnomer among yourselves and the others at Cheesehead TV. Is that right?
That is correct.
That maybe if a 2nd and 10 is called and it's a run pass, and I'm going to choose to pass out of spite for the. I
Well,
can
not
promise
spite.
you-
I didn't say spite. Come on now.
Okay.